Welcome to your free English lesson. This series will focus on modal verbs. There are 4 intended learning outcomes for this lesson. 1. We are learning to define and form semi-modal verbs. 2. We are learning to write affirmative and negative sentences using semi-modals. 3. We are learning to ask questions using semi-modals. 4. We are learning to explain how semi-modals are different from modal verbs. It is important to write when you are asked to. It helps you to learn. You can use a whiteboard, but ideally a notebook would be best. That way you can keep a record of your learning. Listen to these sentences. I must wear a hat. I have to wear a hat. You can swim. You are able to swim. Which sentences mean almost the same thing? Which verbs change? Although semi-modals have a similar meaning to modal verbs, they do not follow the same grammar rules. Modal verbs are helping verbs. They stay the same and do not need another helping verb to make questions or negatives. Semi-modals behave more like ordinary verbs. They often need do, does, did, have, or be to make questions and negatives. This comparison table shows affirmative sentences, negative sentences, and questions using modal verbs and semi-modal verbs that are similar in meaning. You must wear a helmet. You must wear a helmet. You have to wear a helmet. You have to wear a helmet. You mustn't wear sandals. You mustn't wear sandals. You don't have to wear sandals. You don't have to wear sandals. Must you wear headphones? Must you wear headphones? Do you have to wear headphones? Do you have to wear headphones? We can notice that must and have to are similar in meaning. In the negative sentence, the semi-modal uses don't. In the question, the semi-modal needs do. Although must and have to often have similar meanings in affirmative sentences, their negative forms are not equivalent. Mustn't means it is not allowed, it is prohibited. Don't, didn't or doesn't have to means it's not necessary. You can if you want to, but you don't need to. I can play the guitar. I can play the guitar. I am able to play the guitar. I am able to play the guitar. I can't play the guitar. I can't play the guitar. I am not able to play the guitar. I am not able to play the guitar. Can I play the guitar? Can I play the guitar? Am I able to play the guitar? Am I able to play the guitar? Can and be able to are similar in meaning. The semi-modal, be able to, am able to, are able to, is in the present tense. The semi-modal sounds more formal. Although can and be able to often have the same meaning, they are not always used in the same way. Both express ability, but can is much more common in everyday spoken English. We usually use be able to when another tense is needed or when can is not grammatically possible. I could play the guitar when I was young. I could play the guitar when I was young. I was able to play the guitar when I was young. I was able to play the guitar when I was young. I couldn't play the guitar when I was young. I couldn't play the guitar when I was young. I was not able to play the guitar when I was young. I was not able to play the guitar when I was young. Could I play the guitar when I was young? Could I play the guitar when I was young? Was I able to play the guitar when I was young? Was I able to play the guitar when I was young? Could and was or were able to are similar in meaning. The semi-modal was or were able to is in the past tense. The semi-modal sounds more formal. Could and was or were able to can both describe general ability in the past. However, when we talk about a single successful action in the past, we usually use was or were able to, not could. We also use be able to form sentences that could doesn't have. We should follow them. We should follow them. We are supposed to follow them. We are supposed to follow them. We shouldn't follow them. We shouldn't follow them. We aren't supposed to follow them. We aren't supposed to follow them. Should we follow them? Should we follow them? Are we supposed to follow them? Are we supposed to follow them? Should gives advice. The semi-modal are supposed to is in the present tense. Am, are, or is supposed to expresses an expectation. Although should and be supposed to can sometimes have a similar meaning, they are not always used in the same way. Both can express what is expected, but should usually gives advice or says what the right thing to do is. Be supposed to usually describes a rule or expectation or arrangement. We also use be supposed to in different tenses. Semi-modals can change tense, while modal verbs cannot. In the past tense, was or were supposed to describes something that was expected, planned, or required in the past. It often suggests that the action did not happen. This is different from should have, which expresses regret or says something would have been the better choice. We were supposed to follow them. We were supposed to follow them. We weren't supposed to follow them. We weren't supposed to follow them. Were we supposed to follow them? Were we supposed to follow them? Although would and used to have a similar meaning, they are not always interchangeable. Both can express past habits, but would usually describes past actions. Used to usually describes past habits and states. It can also introduce a story about the past. In English, when we make questions with did, the did already marks the past tense. The main verb returns to its base form. They would walk every day. They would walk every day. They used to walk every day. They used to walk every day. Would they walk every day? Would they walk every day? Did they used to follow them? Did they used to follow them? Although can and be allowed to can sometimes have a similar meaning, be allowed to places a little more emphasis on permission coming from a rule or authority. Both express permission in natural English speech, but can is more suited to casual situations. She can leave early. She can leave early. She is allowed to leave early. She is allowed to leave early. She can't leave early. She can't leave early. She is not allowed to leave early. She is not allowed to leave early. Can she leave early? Can she leave early? Is she allowed to leave early? Is she allowed to leave early? Although could and be allowed to overlap in meaning, they are not equivalent. Could usually expresses general permission in the past. It can also be used to make polite requests. Be allowed to is the preferred form for specific past permission. It is clearer and avoids confusion with could, which also has meanings related to ability and possibility. She could leave early. She could leave early. She was allowed to leave early. She was allowed to leave early. She couldn't leave early. She couldn't leave early. She was not allowed to leave early. She was not allowed to leave early. Could she leave early? Could she leave early? Was she allowed to leave early? Was she allowed to leave early? English has both modal verbs and semi-modals. They often have similar meanings, so why do we need both? Core modal verbs have a limited tense system. English uses semi-modals because they are built around ordinary verbs such as be, have, and do, which can change tense. If we want to talk about permission in the future, will be allowed to expresses this. She will be allowed to leave early. She will be allowed to leave early. She will not be allowed to leave early. She will not be allowed to leave early. Will she be allowed to leave early? Will she be allowed to leave early? Need to expresses necessity. It means that something is necessary or required, but it is often less strong than must. Both express necessity, but must sounds stronger or more emphatic. When conjugating in the affirmative, needs to is for third person singular. She needs to leave early. She needs to leave early. She does not need to leave early. She does not need to leave early. Does she need to leave early? Does she need to leave early? Needed to expresses necessity in the past. It means that something was necessary or required in the past and does not have a modal equivalent because of the change in tense. She needed to leave early. She needed to leave early. She did not need to leave early. She did not need to leave early. Does she need to leave early? Does she need to leave early? Will need to expresses necessity in the future. It means that something will be necessary or required in the future and does not have a modal equivalent because of the change in tense. She will need to leave early. She will need to leave early. She will not need to leave early. She will not need to leave early. Will she need to leave early? Will she need to leave early? Am, are, or is meant to suggests an intention, rule, or plan. It can change tense because of be. You are meant to wear a uniform. You are meant to wear a uniform. You are not meant to wear a uniform. You are not meant to wear a uniform. Are you meant to wear a uniform? Are you meant to wear a uniform? Be meant to is similar to be supposed to. Was or were meant to suggests an intention, rule, or plan in the past. It can change tense because of be. You were meant to wear a uniform. You were meant to wear a uniform. You were not meant to wear a uniform. You were not meant to wear a uniform. Were you meant to wear a uniform? Were you meant to wear a uniform? Choose the correct modal or semi-modal to complete the sentences. If you would like a challenge, here is the extender. Replace the modal or semi-modal with an appropriate interchangeable option. You see a doctor if you feel sick. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. You should see a doctor if you feel sick. You need to see a doctor if you feel sick. You must see a doctor if you feel sick. You had better see a doctor if you feel sick. We bring food because the meal will be provided. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. We don't have to bring food because the meal will be provided. We don't need to bring food because the meal will be provided. We aren't meant to bring food because the meal will be provided. You cook when you were younger. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Could you cook when you were younger? Were you able to cook when you were younger? Does he wear a uniform? Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Does he need to wear a uniform? Is he supposed to wear a uniform? Should he wear a uniform? She study tonight. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. She has to study tonight. She needs to study tonight. You are drive without a license. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. You are not allowed to drive without a license. You are not supposed to drive without a license. I open the window. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Can I open the window? May I open the window? Am I allowed to open the window? They finish the project by Friday. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. They must finish the project by Friday. They have to finish the project by Friday. Students were use calculators. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. Students were not supposed to use calculators. Students were not allowed to use calculators. We remember our passports. Pause the video. The next slide contains the answers. Check your answers. We must remember our passports. We had better remember our passports. Thank you for joining into the lesson today. I hope you now feel confident with understanding the purpose and meaning of semi-modal verbs, the similarities and differences between semi-modal and modal verbs, and how to use them correctly in sentences. Please like and subscribe for more lessons. There is a lot to learn, so don't give up. Keep believing in yourself and you will learn. See you next time. Bye.